Cool. Excellent. So welcome once again to our Beautiful program. Today it's going to be a very, very important topic that we are going to be looking at. We're going to be discussing, and it's about cyber violence. And I know every one of us can relate to it. See, the internet has created a new communication tool, particularly for young people, young girls like you, whose use of emails, websites, instant messaging, webcams, chat rooms, social networking sites, text messaging, it's exploding worldwide. In fact, it's unfathomable. You cannot talk about it. It's just the explosion is huge. And while there are many benefits that result from electronic-based communication, yeah, there are lots of them. Just like that's why we're able to communicate right now easily. But the internet is, however, currently a potential site for abuse and victimization. I mean, young people fall victims of sexual perpetrators, stalkers, explorers, and peers who bullying them online. So that is why we're having this workshop today, and this workshop aims at preventing cyber abuse in response to the growing emphasis of protecting young children, youths, and young girls like you from online danger. So I am going to start sharing my screen right now. Okay, so let's do this. I like to use PowerPoint to do my presentation because a lot of people do remember visual information a lot. Okay, so if you can see my screen, please can you type on the chat that you can see it for me? I want to make sure that I'm taking everyone along with me. Let me look at my chat. I can't see. Okay, Valerie Olamer. Sarah, can you see my screen? You can type on the chat if you can see my screen, Sarah.
Yeah.
Okay, you can see it. Okay. Awesome. Great. Thank you. Perfect. All right. Okay, so I'm going to go to the first slide. So today we are going to be looking at cyber-based violence education. So there are going to be two steps to this presentation. I'm going to do the presentation first, and then the second aspect is that we're going to discuss the discussion aspect. Of course, I'm going to stop recording so we can discuss in a safe atmosphere. So the question is, what is cyber violence? Before that, actually, in fact, I'm going to go to the screen and I'm going to give you guys a poll. I'm going to launch a poll. Okay. I will launch my first poll. All right, this one. Okay. So I want you guys to take the poll. It is just 4 questions. So the first question, how much do you know about cyber-based violence? So, okay, 1 person turned in, thank you. I'm just gonna give a few minutes for the others to catch on. Two people, 1 more person. All right, right now I can see everybody turned in. Excellent, thank you. And I will, okay. And the poll I'm gonna show you the result. Okay. Just 1 minute. Actually, I would. Let me do this. I will take a screenshot of it. Okay. All right. And the last question. Excellent. So that is done. That is taken care of. Okay. All right. So we are going to go back to the next PowerPoint. What is cyber violence? You guys have been hearing about this word so many times. And can anybody tell me what I know the definition is here, but what to you, what is cyber violence? Does anybody want to attempt?
Like cyberbullying?
Exactly. Cyberbullying is an example of cyber violence. Thank you. Thank you so much for that, being bold. So cyber violence is the use of computer systems to cause, facilitate, or threaten violence against individuals that results in or is likely to result in physical, sexual, psychological, or economic harm or suffering, and may include the exploitation of the individual's circumstances, characteristics, or vulnerabilities. So cyber violence is actually an online behavior that criminally or non-criminally assault or can actually lead to an assault of a person's physical, psychological, or emotional well-being. It can be experienced by an individual or by a group, and it happens online, either through your smartphones, while you're playing your internet games. Even though cyber violence takes place online, it actually affects people offline and has a real world implication. That is why we want to talk about it today. So the problem with cyber violence, and like an example as she gave, cyberbullying and abuse, is the greatest challenge is one of the greatest challenges that the internet faces today. According to a research from the United Nations, about 73% of women have already been exposed. When we're talking about women, we're also talking about women and girls, have already been exposed or experienced some form of online violence, because almost everyone is online doing one thing or the other online. And since more and more people can easily access the internet and social media, cyber violence against women and girls is at an increasing, it's the rate at which it's increasing, it's disturbing, really disturbing. It's really increasing, really at a high level. Another study actually shows that 1 in 10 women have experienced some form of violence since their age of 15, since when they were 15. So you can imagine, it's like almost everyone is really experiencing it, and that is really huge, and that is disturbing. And that is why we want to look into it and see how we can prevent it so we will not fall a victim of this violence. Women and girls are more likely to actually experience it than men, and they experience it, and the experience can be quite traumatic in their lives. So what is today we are going to be looking at the different categories of cyber violence. So what are the different categories? Like Ulama mentioned earlier, and cyberbullying is one of them. So it could be cyberbullying or online harassment or abuse. And this is when there are individual threats. It includes trolling, doxing, hate speech, and it can be anonymous, or it can actually be somebody that you do know. Another category of cyber violence is the non-consensual sharing of intimate images. This is when there's a sharing of intimate photos to humiliate or to exploit. Sometimes this is referred as revenge porn, but it's actually sexual violence, and it's not a good thing. It's a big no-no. Okay, so the third category is the recording and distribution of sexual assault. And this is when videos and images of sexual assaults are shared through the social media. You guys are all on the social media, your Facebook, your Instagram, your TikTok, or all the social medias that you guys are involved in, it's you can experience this there. Okay, so this is not just a privacy issue. This is a form of gender violence, as it is disproportionately affects young women in this day and age. Okay, so the fourth category of cyber violence is the cyber stalking and digital dating abuse. This is when there's harassment, tracking, threatening, and controlling somebody online. All right. For instance, your GPS phone tracks apps and can be used to track your every move. And that is really, really, really very scary and something that we have to be very, very careful about. So what are some examples of cyber violence? We have trolling. Trolling. Somebody may ask, what is trolling? This is actually when there's intentionally using provocative or offensive messages on the internet in order to get your attention, cause trouble, or upset someone. Okay. Then we have doxing. Doxing is an online attack in which the hackers, they actually dig up your personal information and your documents, your personal documents. And the purpose of this is that they want to expose the real identities of people hoping to remain anonymous. It is mostly carried out with a malicious intent to intimidate you, to blackmail you, and to control others. So we have cyberbullying, like Ulama mentioned. We will talk about it a little bit more later. We have the hate speech. This is when you're saying words that hateful words that to somebody that are just not good. Okay. We have public shaming. You're trying to shame somebody, making fun of somebody so the person can be ashamed, embarrassed. You know. We also have cyber stalking, which we're going to be talking about later on. And we also have intimidation and threats. There's unwanted sexting. Oh, yeah, that's what they call it, sexting. And they're also recording and distribution of sexual assault. All these things are violent, and they should not be encouraged. And if you're experiencing it, please reach out for help, okay? Because it can be quite detrimental to you and your life. The impact afterwards it's not funny. Okay, so we are going to look at cyber stalking, which is one of the forms of cyber violence. So what is cyber stalking? This is when someone repeatedly is sending you an unwanted email or text or messages. So if somebody is repeatedly sending you that, then the person is cyber stalking you. And repeatedly sending this message, it includes threats of harm or highly intimidating or engaging in other online activities. And this makes the person afraid for her life, for her safety, depending on the content of the message, which oftentimes is brutal. Okay, so the next one we are going to look at is cyber sexual violence. And this is becoming very, very common, and it's affecting a lot of young girls that are involved online. That's when you're online, it's very, very important that you be very, very careful of what you watch, the things that you connect with. And I'm going to share with you later on how to protect yourself from all of this. Okay, so cyber violence, cyber sexual violence targets, it primarily targets girls and women in a sexual manner. It comes in different forms, such as the cyber harassment and cyber stalking that we talked about. And this involves the monitoring or disrupting online communication, making threats, stealing personal information, or spreading false accusation. Then we also have distributing sexual recordings, images, or messages without consent in order to harass or shame the targeted individual. Remember, I said the target women and girls for these kind of things. The other form that it exhibits itself, it's luring and online exploitation of minors like you by adults who establish contact with you over the internet for the purpose of committing a sexual offense. So whenever you're online, please be very careful. And another form it exhibits itself is the online sexual assault, such as constant threats of sexual assault. And another form is sextortion, which is, or it could be called sexual blackmail, in which a person is threatened with the electronic distribution of sexual images or information. So these are the ways cyber sexual violence exhibit themselves. So when you see these signs that I have mentioned, know that this is cyber sexual violence, and please run, run, run for your life. Okay. The next form of cyber violence is cyber harassment. I think we've mentioned it a few times before. And this is when it is offending a person online with unwanted sexually explicit messages, threats, or violence or hate speech. See, one of the most disturbing forms of online violence is actually non-consensual pornography with former partners, which former partners actually often commit. And this involves posting or distributing sexually graphic images or videos online without your permission. And that is a big no-no. Research actually has shown that up to 90% of these non-consensual pornography victims are women and girls, and the number of cases is rising because a lot of women, a lot of girls are ignorant of all this, and they allow themselves to be prey to these victims, to these people that want to make them victims. So what is cyberbullying? The big one that Oloma mentioned. Cyberbullying is bullying with the use of digital technology. It can take place on your social media, like I've mentioned, your Facebook, your Instagram, your TikTok, and all the social media. Can you guys give me examples of some of the social media stuff that you're involved with? Can you tell me more? Name them. You can put them on the chat, or you can mention them. You can use the microphone and talk about them. Examples of some of the social media channels that you guys are involved in nowadays.
I don't know, TikTok?
Yeah, TikTok, okay. Any other one? Are you guys on Instagram?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Facebook, are you guys on Facebook? No? Okay, that's good. So nobody's on Facebook, so that's good. All right, so but when you get to, because eventually I know you'll be on Facebook, so when you get to be on Facebook, you're gonna have to, when you notice all of these things that we're talking about, please be very, very careful, okay? So it can take place on your social media, messaging platforms, because I do know there are some other chat platforms that people use, even Google Chat, and it is Google Chat, and there's one Discord. There's another one called Discord, things like that. It could be gaming platforms. Some of you are always playing games, your video games. As you're playing games, you can see some predators coming in, trying to harass you or bully you. And it could be through your mobile phones as well, okay? So these are the different channels through which they reach out to want to victimize you. So it is a repeated behavior aimed at scaring you, getting you to be angry, shaming you, and remember, they target you. Okay, they target you on a big level. So examples of cyberbullying, so that when you see it, you will know, include spreading lies. So the person tends to spread lies about you or post embarrassing photos of you on the social media. They can send hurtful messages or threats through messaging platforms. They can impersonate someone and send mean messages to others on your behalf. So in other words, they can impersonate you and send mean messages on your behalf. So it's so unfortunate that modern devices like our smartphones with internet access makes it easier now for these bullies, these cyber bullies, to remain anonymous, so nobody gets to know about them or who they are. And they actually create multiple accounts with different identities. So you don't even know who is reaching out to you. You don't know who is trying to connect with you. And this gives them the freedom to attack multiple social media users simultaneously, often without obstruction. So that is what internet is actually doing. One of the disadvantages, though there are advantages to it. So there are numerous means of victimization. This may include making posts on social media intended to threaten you, to humiliate you, to publish videos or photos that embarrass, intimidate you, and posting your private or personal information, such as where you live or online or things like that. See, all this harassment, what they do is that they leave you feeling isolated. They leave you feeling scared. They leave you feeling depressed. And we have known that tragically, a lot of people actually have committed suicide suicide as a result of cyber violence. And that is why we're actually taking time to educate you so that you can be aware, because knowledge is power. It's important for you to know that this thing exists, so that when you experience it, you know something rings, a bell rings in your head. Oh, hey, this is cyber violence, cyber bullying, this person is trying to attack me and things like that. So you know how to protect yourself, because cyberbullying is incredibly harmful and can have lasting effects on a teenager's confidence. It can have lasting effect on your self-esteem. It can have lasting effect on your mental health. In fact, in many cases, cyberbullying leads to self-harm, anxiety, depression, and even suicide. That is why you see some young girls, I've heard of some young girls actually that have experienced the cyberbullying, cyber violence. They actually wanted to commit kill themselves, commit suicide. That is why it's very, very important that you take knowledge, take note of each. I know there are face-to-face bullying that people experience in schools, but cyberbullying can often happen alongside with face-to-face bullying. But the only difference is that cyberbullying leaves a digital footprint. It's a record that can prove useful and prove evidence to help stop this abuse, which is a good thing. Okay, so now what are the different types of cyberbullying? Harassment. You can see that poor girl. Can you see all the forms just from the internet, all the forms of harassment that she is experiencing? So harassment is when there is repeated sending of offensive, rude, and insulting messages. Okay. Then we have denigration. This is when there is distribution of information about you that is derogatory and untrue. They post it on a web page and send it through an email or instant messaging, and or posting or sending the digitally altered photos of you. So this is denigration. The purpose of it is to denigrate you, to bring you down. Okay. Another form of cyberbullying is flaming. What is flaming? This is an online fighting using electronic messages with angry, vulgar language. Okay. Then we have impersonation. All right. This is when someone breaks into an email or social networking account and using that person's online identity to send or post vicious or embarrassing material to others. I mean, I've heard of lots of people, they say their Facebook account has been hacked. And I'm sure you guys have heard so much of that, because somebody hacked into their account and it's trying to be them, but it's not really them, and trying to post messages. Oftentimes they post messages that the person would not ordinarily post. They're impersonating you and they're sending wrong information that is not really coming from you. And we also have outing and trickery, and this is when there's sharing of secrets or embarrassing information, or tricking somebody into revealing secrets or embarrassing information. And what they do is that they now forward it to others as well. After getting to reveal that information, they now forward it to others. So what are the effects of cyberbullying? Can you see this girl? They've said so many derogatory words, threatening words, bad words to her. So the effects of this cyberbullying can actually, it has a longer effect, and it can affect a person mentally. So it makes you feel absurd, makes you feel embarrassed, make you feel stupid and even angry. It can affect you emotionally by making you feel ashamed or lose interest in the things that you love. It can affect you physically by you get tired because due to loss of sleep, because you're thinking about it, or experiencing symptoms like stomach ache and headaches. Of course, because it has to do with your emotion, and your emotion is also tied to your physical health and all that stuff. Yeah, so the feeling of being laughed at or harassed by others can prevent people from speaking up or trying to deal with this problem. Yes, but it's important that you deal with it. Okay, don't be afraid of being dealt with. Don't be afraid of people laughing at you. In extreme cases, cyberbullying can even lead people to take their own lives. Like I mentioned before, it could lead to suicide. It can affect us in so many ways, and this can be overcome. And when people, when it is overcome, people are able to regain their confidence and their health. So it is very, very, very important that you know, once you notice it, you reach out for help. So how do we prevent it? Now that we have seen, we know the symptoms, we know the signs of cyber violence, whether it's harassment, whether it's sexual violence, whether it's abuse, whatever form it might come with, doxing or trolling or cyber stalking or intimidation. Now that you've known the signs and the symptoms, how do we prevent it? The first is that you have to research about cyberbullying. Now, we've done part of the research for you, and that's why we give you some of the information, but we also encourage you to go out there and so go to Google and research so you can know more about it. Check your privacy settings, your Facebook, your Instagram, please check your settings, set it to private, okay? Don't put it public, especially at this age right now, okay? Avoid taking compromising photos. So be careful of the kind of pictures that you take. You don't want to take a picture that will make you, that represents you in the wrong way. Trust me, the picture that once you've thrown it out there, it stays out there, and 10 years down the line, it's going to haunt you if it's not a good one. Do you realize that in future, when you start looking for a job, when you start looking for employment, when you start looking for good things, people actually go back to find out about you. And if you post a compromising picture, a picture that does not represent you properly, people are going to think that that's who you are. So be very, very careful of the pictures that you put out there. Don't go and take naked pictures and post out there. Don't go and take pictures of you in a bad format and post out there. Please don't, because it's once you've thrown it out there, it is out there. And down 10 years along the line, when you have forgotten about it, it's going to come back and haunt you. So always post pictures that make you portray in a good form, portray who you really are. Very, very important. Remember that everything you post is permanent and public. Permanent and public. So once it's out there, it's out there. You can't take it back. So please think twice, look up and down, look at it properly before you post it. Ask yourself this question: is this how I want people to see me? Is this how I want them to think about me? Is this who I want them to, is that the kind of image I want to portray out there? So when you use your social media channels, please make sure you log out of them on public devices. Okay, even on private devices as well, I'll suggest that you log out. This will prevent hacking. Okay, raise awareness when you see it happening. It could be happening to you, it could be happening to your friends. Make sure that you raise an awareness once you notice that it is happening. Speak to an authority figure if the need arises. So once you notice it might be happening to you, it might be happening to your friend, please reach out to an authority figure. Might be your parents, might be your teachers, people that you trust in authority. Look yourself up in the internet. So sometimes type your name, Google, look up. What do you see? Do you really like what you see? Do you like the image that's been portrayed of you? Do you really like what the internet is portraying about you? These are the things that you need to think about before you start sending things out there. Stand up for others who are being cyberbullied. So of course, if you see your friends that are being bullied, please stand up for them. Don't just let them be bullied, because it will always have an impact in their lives. So be one another's keeper. Okay. Remember that cyberbullying is never your fault. All right. So no matter what happens, we're praying that it will not be your portion. It will not happen to you. But if it ever happens, remember that it's never your fault. It's never your fault to reach out for help. Reach out to your parents, reach out to your authority, talk to them for help. All right. Very, very, very important. All right. So, so we have mentioned the tips. So the next thing we're going to look at is cyber safety rules. Okay. Cyber safety rules. So one of the rules when you're online, don't tag yourself or anyone else in photos that can be seen publicly. Okay. Number 2, don't share your personal information like your name, your family member's name, your school, your friend's name, your age, your address, your home address, your phone number. Don't share it with anyone that you do not know. Okay. Number 3, don't open emails from strangers. If you don't know them, please don't open it. Don't share your password, even with your friends. Your password is your secret code to your account. Keep it to yourself. Don't accept friend invites from strangers. If you don't know them, please just ignore their invite, because some of them are perpetrators. They want to use that to get to your account and start posting things that should not be posted. And they can hurt you through that channel. Okay. If someone you meet online asks to meet you in person, please tell your parent, please immediately tell your parent, your teacher, or a trusted adult. If someone you meet online, please do not, anybody that you meet online, do not meet them in person. I've heard stories of girls that have been killed because they tried to make friends online. They tried to connect with people online. And all of a sudden, that person started saying, meet me. And especially it's girls, young girls are the target. The person told them, meet me at so and so location. And the girls went there, and lo and behold, they were killed. So please do not meet anybody in person that you meet online. In fact, the moment somebody starts telling you to do that, please reach out to your parents, talk to them, or your trusted adult, or your teacher, whoever is around you at that point in time that is trusted, a trusted person. Be careful of also who that you reach out to. Very, very important. Okay, never agree to meet in person someone that you have met online. We talked about it. Use an online nickname that doesn't give clues to your real identity. In other words, don't give her the whole information until you get to become adults. And of course, you know how to handle that wisely. But now just use a nickname online. Okay, change your passwords regularly, especially if you think someone else might have it. Change it regularly. Okay, so use the privacy features of your chat rooms and other social media. So when you're using your social media channels, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is, please use the privacy features up for it. Okay, all right, just a minute. Okay, perfect. Okay, and the next thing is, if you're being bullied, what will you do, or what should you do? Don't try to reason or communicate with the person who's bullying you. Please don't even try it. Okay, because there's just no how you're going to be able to reason logically, because the person has a motive, the person has a mission, and that's to hurt you. Okay, so don't even try to reason or communicate with them. Use the block feature to prevent the person from contacting you again. So just quickly block them so that they will not be able to contact you again. Tell a trusted adult and contact, there's a kids help phone, our website, which I'll give you the number later, and I don't have it right now, okay? But tell a trusted adult. Save any messages you receive as an evidence. So in other words, so that when you're able to reach out for help, they might ask you, what's your evidence? What evidence do you have? You know, evidence, because when people see evidence, they tend to believe more. They're able to believe more that what you're saying is really, really true. Okay, so now somebody will ask me, now that we have the hacker, somebody asked the question, how do we stop cyberbullying without giving up access to internet? Because the internet is there for us to use, but how can we start? We know that with this whole gift of the internet, there's also this negative aspect of cyber-based violence. How can we stop it? How can we stop the cyberbullying? If you experience cyberbullying, you may want to delete certain apps or stay offline for a while to give yourself time to recover. So delete the app, stay offline for a while so that you can be able to recover. But getting off the internet is not a long-term solution, okay? So always remember that you didn't do anything wrong. Because oftentimes what happens is that when people stay off the internet, it may actually send wrong signals to the bullies. And sometimes it might encourage that unacceptable behavior. Okay, so our goal is that we want all this cyberbullying to stop. Okay, which is one of the reasons that why we're doing this workshop, and we want it to be prevented. We want it not to happen to you, not even to your friends. So delete it and stay offline. Reach out for help. Be thoughtful in your approach. All right, some of the materials we've gotten from this site. All right, so together I want us to stop online violence. We can make it work. We can protect the young girls that these perpetrators wants to destroy. You can protect yourself. You can protect your friends. So let's all work together. Once you notice, now that you know, now that you've been exposed to this information, now that you've been empowered with this information, let's make it work. So this brings us to the end of the presentation, and I'm going to stop recording so that we can have a discussion. We can talk about it before we go today. So I am going to stop recording. Okay.